I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, so welcome everybody, and so glad to see, as Carolyn had called for, this, excuse me please, if we could get started. There'll be plenty of time for visiting, and I'm delighted everybody's enjoying their people they're sitting with. We could just have your attention for our short program here before lunch is served. Again, welcome to everybody. We're delighted that you're here on this chilly day, but we'll keep the atmosphere warm and friendly in here. Particularly welcome our speaker, Mr. George Frongillo, president of the Mended Hearts of Cape Cod, who's going to be our program speaker right after lunch. And Carolyn's going to get into more detail, but one of our members who's currently in Florida for the winter reached out to me regarding, well, not her health issue, but experiencing the health issue and the fact that she connected with this organization and was so touched by how wonderful they are and how much they helped her that she sent a lovely letter and actually a donation for them that Carolyn is going to share a little bit later. So the raffles have closed, and they'll be announced shortly during lunch. I do want to welcome a new member, Joanne Del Greco. People, can you wave where you are? Thank you, and so delighted to have you here and look forward to you getting involved in a variety of things. We also have several guests, Judith Kenton and Carla Schultz-Scolari. So yes, please. And we welcome you. Many of our guests end up joining as members, so we hope that you follow that path as well. I do have a little housekeeping issue just to remind people of. There was an email that went out about the luncheon price increase that's going into effect next month for the March luncheon. The club here, as wonderful as it is, had to raise the price. They charge us, and we in turn had to pass that along. So regrettably, it's the way of the world these days. But we just want to remind people that goes into effect next month. So there'll be additional reminders in the email notices that come out. I do want to briefly thank all the Mashpee Women Club workers that do all kinds of things behind the scenes. Some in front that we do see, but there's a lot of moving parts that go on putting events like this together. But out front we did have greeters, and I want to thank Terry Cordo, Molly Kilburn, and Diane Tierney for checking everybody in and being our greeters. Our raffle ticket sellers, Pat Doyle and Maureen Trudnick. Now Maureen is a pretty brand new member as of a few months ago, I believe, and she's jumped right in and getting involved, and that's what I would encourage everybody to do as well, because that's how you really get to meet people and just overall get more out of the organization. That old saying, the more you put in, the more you get out. And I would, our centerpiece is also done by a relatively new member. She was in the fall, Barbara Steinkraus. Is she here? Oh, there she is. Okay, I didn't see her yet. So thank you. Again, a new member who's jumped right in and getting involved, putting together those adorable centerpieces. Perfect for the occasion. Our luncheon organizer, talking about a lot of work behind the scenes, Cindy Collins, affectionately called the Lunch Lady. She's the one who works to put this all together every month. Our program chair, Carolyn Holmes. And perhaps, Carolyn, when you introduce George later on, you could talk about the upcoming programs. How about when you introduce him later? Does that work? Because I also have a visitor to introduce, Chris Marin from the Independence House, which is the group that works with victims of domestic violence based in Hyannis, but I believe would service most of Cape Cod. Is that correct? She's what we call our getting to know you speaker. She's going to give some brief comments about their group and what they do and who they serve. And they are the beneficiary of the raffle proceeds this quarter. We've also supported them with a donation in the past, and we'll keep them on our radar for future fundraising support. But here, she's just here to share about their work and different ways that we might be able to help. Here's Chris.
Thank you. And before I forget, just thank you for all of your support in the past and in the future. So my name is Chris Morin. I've been in the field of domestic and sexual violence for 20 years. First training was in Virginia with the statewide Virginia Sexual and Domestic Violence Action Alliance, where I served on the statewide hotline. So I've been with Independence House for 14 years, and I'm the Director of Prevention, Education, and Outreach. And I really enjoy going out and speaking about the work that we do. I just wanted to open up with just briefly, just the issue itself, okay? Just according to the Centers for Disease Control, the private nature of domestic and sexual violence makes these two crimes more challenging in the way of evaluation and monitoring and addressing the most than most other crimes. It's a very underreported crime. The need is acute because sexual violence, stalking, and interpersonal violence create a ripple effect of health consequences, which look like stress, anxiety, depression, and most of all, which most people don't think of, not being believed. That's a very big piece of one's mental health. So, just so you know, in case you don't, but it's a very, if you have not been a victim of abuse, you know somebody. It's worldwide, it's prevalent, it's an epidemic. And domestic sexual violence is about power and control. Somebody needs power, and they use anything possible to control somebody. Just a brief example, I had a client whose husband had a gun, and whenever he wanted to control something, he just took that gun out, cleaned it up, and put it on the table. No violence, no physical abuse, just a warning that he's in control. So most violence is non-physical because it doesn't leave any marks. So a little bit about our agency in general. We serve all individuals who have in the past or presently experiencing domestic and sexual violence. We serve women, children, and men. We have our services are free, and we have a 24-hour hotline. If you know anybody most people are in denial or do not want to tell people that they're being abused. They come through our doors filled with shame and blame because they've been told over and over again that they're not good enough. And so our job, our role, is to empower them, to get them to a place where understanding the dynamics of abuse, they did not deserve this, and to give them that control over making their own decisions. So our job is to kind of give them options and resources, and they make a decision what they want to do. And then if If it doesn't turn out, just like any of us, we go to Plan B. But we support them in all their choices. Just about us, our agency in general. We started in 1979. It was about the time when there started to be federal funding for the agencies of domestic sexual violence. We have a staff of about 50. Our ages range from 20s to 80s. Our executive director, Lisetta Hirsch Putnam, has been the director for 26 years. And we are primarily funded by the Violence Against Women Act, which came about in 1995, co-sponsored by former President Joe Biden. And that's about 70% of our budget comes from federal funds. So we approach our work through a social justice lens, knowing that the intersection of oppressions cause even more and deeper trauma. We focus on those marginalized communities, and that format is called Centering the Last Girl. The last girl are those in marginalized communities that are Black and brown people, people with disabilities, LGBTQ+, people with English as a second language. We call them marginalized, they're on the outskirts and sometimes get ignored. So if we focus our services on those populations, then everyone who comes through our doors receives the best services. So our programs in general, we have a domestic violence program, sexual assault program. Domestic violence affects everyone in the family, and so we have a teen website. Teens won't call the phone on the hotline. They're probably not going to walk in and ask for help. So we have a teen website where it's a chat room where they can get information and possibly encourage them to come in. Children who witness violence are just as traumatized as a child that would actually get direct abuse. So it's really important when we talk to a parent to let them know about our children's services, because children, the answer that I get when I present this to parents is that they believe that their child hasn't noticed anything, that the abuse is done at night, it's when they're at school, they don't see it or hear it, but they do. And they pick up on the stress that the abused parent is receiving. And so it's always good to have a counselor, a neutral person, because they love both their parents. They don't know why one is being mad or mean, but it's a place for them to talk about it. And in our sexual violence program that funds our 24-hour workshop, 24-hour hotline. We have advocates in the courts, and going into a court is intimidating to most people. And so our advocates who strictly focus on restraining orders, stay-away orders, help the person to figure out if what they have is eligible for a restraining order. They help them go through the steps, what's going to happen. And most people underplay what's happened, right? Because they're ashamed of why they let this happen. And so the court advocate helps them, encourages them to tell their whole story, because the bottom line is the judge decides whether they get the restraining order or not, so they need to know the facts. We have a 24-hour shelter. It houses 13 beds. It's set up for families, a parent with children, but in any one case scenario, it could be 13 singles in the shelter. But it's we've had this for about 6 or 7 years now. Ironically, people see the shelter on the Cape as a place to go, but it's not always the safest place, because Cape's so small and electronics and social media and everything are so invasive. It's not always the safest place for somebody on Cape Cod to be. But it depends on everyone's story. We also have a lawyer on staff. Again, you might not be surprised, she's on overload, but she's there for information if she can take your case, you will. But you don't have to be a client of Independence House to get services from her. If you're experiencing, or any friends experience domestic or sexual violence, we have an application to fill out, and she will look at it and let you know what can be done. And then prevention, education, outreach is what I do. Where outreach like this is really important. Again, this issue of domestic sexual violence keeps going because of silence. The abuser uses silence as a major tool for this not to be as addressed as much. So I was asked this: what can people do? Besides material things, which I will mention, but we have workshops that we partner with Barnesville No Place for Hate with active bystander intervention workshops. It's something that anyone can join to understand how can we intervene. A punch or rape doesn't just happen. It comes because we have a culture that really supports violence. The sexist jokes, the racist jokes, objectify women, all of that. That's where it starts. So if we can interrupt it there, we have a better chance of preventing. So active bystander intervention workshops are available. The Enough Abuse campaign, again, we're a partner with that, and they have workshops for adults to be what are the red flags for child sexual abuse. That is also an epidemic in this country. This is not a toe tapper presentation, I understand, but it's really important to talk about it. So you can sign up for our mailing list. Of course, I have forgotten one, but I can get that to Susan, I guess. To be on our website, our email list, just to know what's going on. Many times we have a list of things that we need at the time. We don't collect things a lot because we don't have storage, but every once in a while we put a word out about bird feeders for the shelter and the kids. We put that out there for, see if anybody could donate them. Those kinds of things is what we do as far as letting people know. So food drives are always helpful, as you know, but just an immediate financial need would be gift cards for food shopping and gas. Again, this issue goes across all economic status, spectrum. But we do get a lot of people who finances are not there for a variety of reasons. Two being the abuser controls the finances, and the other one is sometimes they don't allow them to work and have their own account. So if that appeals to anybody, that would be wonderful as far as gift cards for food shopping and gas. So that's the overview in 10 minutes or less. I'd be happy to talk to any of those organizations of an extent if you'd like. But again, I appreciate the time. I appreciate the work that you do in the community. And hopefully we can partner in other ways. Thank you. One more. Just so, we have offices, Hyannis is our main office, but we're in Falmouth and Orleans and Provincetown, just so you know. Okay.
All right, well, thank you, Chris. That was very informative. And we certainly look for different ways going forward that we can support that very worthy cause. Okay, we're going to move on to lunch, but before we do that, our Vice President, Kathy, is going to say a few brief words about some other things heating up here for the spring we're looking forward to.
Okay, just quickly, June is coming up for our fashion show, and we'll be looking for baskets from our members. If you have any questions about that, you can ask, I'm sure, someone at your table, or you can ask me. The other thing we're doing this year differently is we are going to do a program, and we're looking for advertisers. So if you know anybody, if you go into something regularly, you know someone, please let me know, or Amy Brothers. She's my co-chair for June, and we can get in touch with them, or if you want to get in touch with them. So that's it. Enjoy your lunch.
Okay, yes, we're going to hear more about that. And the fashion show is coming up in June. We actually have 3 co-chairs, in addition to Kathy and Amy, who are going to work on the program and the raffles and so forth. The fashion show itself, and that co-chair is Carolyn Holmes. She does a lot of different things, so we keep her very busy. So we'll move on to lunch now and enjoy, and we'll be back. Interesting, adorable centerpieces are going to be awarded to the person at the table with the birthday closest to Valentine's Day. So whoever has birthday the closest to February 14th can win this adorable heart decoration. Okay? So each table can figure out the winner here. And I'm going to introduce Carolyn Holmes. Again, she works with Pat, and we put together this marvelous program. And she's going to introduce today's speaker, but also tell you about some of the upcoming programs.
Ladies, we are all set. What a perfect day to be here. And it's so nice to see everybody in red for Heart Month. Next month is going to be for St. Patrick's Day. We have Sue Clancy, who is a Cape Cod fiddler, and she is going to be singing folk songs that go back generations to 1950s. She will be accompanied by Sean Brennan, who will be playing the guitar. So I want everybody to wear green. It's going to be a fun day. April, we are going to be gorgeous. Elisa Spar is coming. They're going to talk about hair, makeup, fillers, all kinds of products that you might need. So George is going to make us healthy today. We're going to have fun in March. In April, we're going to be gorgeous. I have a letter to read that's from one of our members, and it's a little long, but it is so worth it. It says, "How healthy is your heart? I am pleased and happy to see you have chosen George Frongillo, President of the Mended Hearts of Cape Cod, as your February luncheon speaker. Last September, I got a birthday shock when I learned I had a 5.1 centimeter thoracic aorta aneurysm next to my heart. Heart health is everything, especially when you don't have it. So kudos to you for making this important topic your February theme. After meeting with my doctor at the Cardiovascular Surgery Center at Mass General Brigham Hospital, I learned that most surgeons do not recommend surgery until an aneurysm reaches 5.5 centimeters. The reason? Data shows that 5.5, the risk of rupture is greater than the risk of open heart surgery. Good grief. It's like having a gun pointed to your head. No false moves. I was beside myself. How do I live with that? So I reached out to Heidi McLaughlin, director of the Mashpee Senior Center. I asked Heidi if Mashpee had a heart support group. That's when she handed me a brochure about the Mended Hearts of Cape Cod. I gave them a call and left a message. Shortly afterwards, George Frongillo, the dedicated president, returned my call. I told him my problem. Then with great determination, George went to work to find me someone in his vast network of contacts who had a similar situation. About 3 days later, I received a call from the Washington, D.C. area from a woman who had an aneurysm. What a relief. We talked for hours. I can't believe how much she helped me. Mashpee Women's Club is about making connections, and so is the Mended Hearts. So it's a great match. I wish I could be there with you on February 18th. Please give my love and express my appreciation to George. Wishing everyone lots of love on Valentine's Day, Lise B. Okay, she's one of our members. So without further ado, I'm happy to introduce George, and Lise has given a $250 check to the Mended Hearts to show her appreciation.
You know, I watch singers on the stage who literally have the mic in their mouth, and I just think to myself, boy, that must be really uncomfortable to be that close. First of all, I want to thank all of you for allowing me to come in and talk about a subject that is near and dear to my heart, both figuratively and literally. Okay? It's such an important topic. It doesn't get anywhere near the recognition that cancer does today. Okay, but I want to share some statistics with you, and I won't bore you with a lot of them, but there are, I think, some that are really, really important. Okay, so we've been here now for about an hour and a half. Okay, according to the CDC, every 30 seconds somebody dies from heart disease. So just think about that. Every 30 seconds somebody's dying from heart disease, and that's why it's the nation's #1 killer. Okay? Annually, approximately 700,000 males and females of all ages and all ethnicities die from heart disease. Okay? Approximately half of those are women. That's more than all of the cancer deaths combined. And yet, we really don't hear a lot about heart disease and women's heart disease. Okay? Every 40 seconds, someone has a heart attack. That's around 800,000 people a year that have heart attacks. Half of those are women. And more women die from heart attacks than men. And the reason is, I'm going to call it delayed diagnosis. We can call it misdiagnosis, okay? Because women present very, very differently than men do. The stereotype heart attack is an elephant sitting on your chest, tingling or numbness in the left arm, okay? Those types of things. Women don't get that. Women have back pain, jaw pain, nausea, fatigue, a feeling like you took a tangerine and literally swallowed a whole tangerine and it's just sitting in your chest, okay? That's the way females present versus males, okay? And a lot of times they go into the hospital and they're misdiagnosed. I know of several, so we have, and I'll get into this a little bit later, but we have an accredited visiting team that goes to the hospital, and I know we've got 3 females that are on that we actually have 4 that are visitors for us. And every time we talk about it, every time we go in and we go to a room and visit a female patient, okay, they talk about how differently they presented and how much trouble they had in the emergency room relating with the staff of what was going on, and how they were feeling, and what that could lead to. So it's something to always keep in mind, okay? I know we've all been drummed in that it's the elephant on the chest, it's the tickling in the numbness in the arm. It's not for you, okay? Today, 60 million women are living with heart disease. Okay? That's nearly half the female population in the United States. Okay? And most of them don't know it because they don't have signs, they don't have symptoms. And sometimes it's not until it's too late. So enough of the stats, okay? I don't mean to scare you, I don't mean to throw out, but it's just so important to understand, okay, how rampant heart disease is in this country. I sent Carolyn a few links over the last couple of days, okay, that are strictly female heart disease links, okay? There's several organizations that are strictly for women, Women's Heart, and a few others. There's some articles, there's some news. There was on NPR, there was an interview with Dr. Alyssa Thompson and one of her patients, Ann Sarno. Ann happens to be one of our visitors. She launched the Mended Hearts, okay? And it talks about women's health, okay? I sent the link to that interview. It's about a 40-some-odd minute interview. You should listen to it. You should listen to what Dr. Thompson has to say about the symptoms and what you need to be aware of. The other thing that you need to be aware of is genetics. Okay? Genetics are a huge factor in heart disease. Okay? Especially if you had a primary relative, a parent or brother or sister who has suffered from heart disease. Okay? You are very susceptible. And you should let your doctors know, and you should let your kids know. I know when we were all growing up, our parents never talked about someone dying of a heart disease or someone dying of cancer, or they didn't talk about sickness at all, okay? We try to make the kids aware that, our kids, Kathy's and my kids, they're cursed. Genetically, they're absolutely cursed, okay? Everybody in my mother's side of the family died of heart disease, okay? And from ages 60 up. So they need to be very aware of it, okay? And I'll go through a little bit of what's happened to me over the last few years. But it's just so important to realize that genetics play such a large role. I gotta apologize because I have notes because my memory just isn't as good as it used to be. But the good news is it's big print, so it's really not as much as you think. So in 2016, I was actually one of those statistics. Labor Day weekend, I dropped dead in my house. If Kathy wasn't with me, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you. Kathy, the EMTs, the Mashpee EMTs, who by the way are spectacular, okay? And Cape Cod Hospital, and I'll say this, and I said this to the doctors at Cape Cod Hospital, if I was conscious in the ambulance, I would have told them to take me to Boston, because we're only an hour outside of Boston, okay? I had no idea what the capabilities of Cape Cod Hospital are from a cardiac standpoint. We should all be grateful and proud that we have an organization like Cape Cod Hospital within our reach, okay? The cardiac program there is absolutely spectacular. The doctors, as you can well imagine, okay, came from Boston. Doctors that wanted to develop a practice down here so they could eventually move down here, retire down here. We've got some great cardiologists, we've got some great nurses. The nursing staff is absolutely fabulous. And the capabilities are second to none, okay? The only thing that we can't do down here on the Cape is transplants and research, okay? That's Boston. But everything else, virtually everything else that has to do with cardiac care can be done at Cape Cod Hospital. And when you stop and think about that, it's amazing. Now, obviously it's the demographics down here on the Cape. That has a big role in it, okay? They're prepared for that, but it's just absolutely amazing what they do. So anyways, I dropped dead. Kathy started CPR right away. She called 911. EMTs came, they took over. It took them 12, 15 minutes to get my heart back, okay? I was without a breath, without a heartbeat, I was down and out. They rushed me to the hospital. They did some preliminary examinations. They decided to do this protocol, which they call the Arctic Sun Protocol, which is where they lower your body temperature, okay, to stop the deterioration of organs. I was on life support for 10 days. Kathy was told that the good outcome would be if I could sit up and recognize me. Okay. But for the grace of God, I'm standing here talking to you. Okay. I attribute a lot to Cape Cod Hospital and how quickly they responded, how they reacted. Okay. But I'm a very blessed and a very lucky guy to be able to sit here and talk. Okay. I came home. I went through cardiac rehab, I went through speech therapy, I went through occupational therapy, I went through physical therapy, and physiologically I was on the right track. But psychologically I was struggling. I couldn't sleep at night, I just kept thinking, I couldn't understand why God would let a 68-year-old man have a second chance at life when children were dying every day. I just had such a hard time wrapping my head around that, okay? Because I've lived a good life. I mean, I've done a lot of great things. I've done a lot of things that my kids did. I kill them, okay? But I've had a great life, okay? God's been good to me. I've worked hard, enjoyed. I just couldn't understand why I got a second chance. Kathy told me, she said, you know, while you were in the hospital, I had a, what they call an ICD, which is a implanted cardio defibrillator, okay, implanted in my chest. It's a pacemaker and a defibrillator, okay? And while I was in having that procedure done, somebody from this organization known as Mended Hearts came to visit me, okay? They actually sat with Kathy, they gave her a bunch of information, okay? And she said, we've got it somewhere, so we found it. I made a phone call. I met this gentleman by the name of Tim Crane, one of the genuinely nicest human beings I've ever met. We had a lot of conversations, he admitted, you know what, I can't help you. I can't give you the answer. He said, but you should seek professional counseling, and maybe they can help you out. So I did. I found a counselor. I spent 4 months in counseling. And she finally said to me one day, she said, George, this is the way I look at it. You could spend the rest of your life trying to figure this out. Or you can take your life and live it to the best of your ability. And maybe, just maybe, someday you'll find out what the plan was. But no guarantees. That really resonated with me. I walked away from there and I said, okay, I can deal with that. Let me not focus 100% on that. Let me focus on other things. So I reached out, I called Mended Hearts, and I joined the local chapter, which is the Hyannis chapter, okay? So I'm going to depart for a little bit and talk a little bit about Mended Hearts as an organization, and then come back to this, okay? So Mended Hearts was actually founded in Boston in 1951. It was founded by a doctor by the name of Dwight D. Harkin, who is known as the father of open heart surgery. Okay. He got his practice, okay, on the front. And when I say on the front, okay, in World War II, that's where he started, okay, saving soldiers who had been shot in the chest, okay, and had fragments in the heart. And he started doing open heart operations, surgery then, okay. He came back home to Boston. He worked at Mass General, okay, and in 1951, he and 4 heart patients formed Mended Hearts because they felt that there was a lot of baggage that goes along with the cardiac procedure, okay, and they needed support. And so they wanted to be able to visit with these people and talk with them and tell them what they've been through to let them know that they can get through it as well. Okay. Back then, the mission statement for Mended Hearts back in the 50s was, it's great to be alive and to help somebody. The mission statement, not unlike the organization, has grown. Today, the Mended Hearts is an international 501c3 nonprofit with over 113,000 members. We're in 33 countries, and we have well over 250 chapters and groups, and we service over 500 hospitals worldwide. Okay, we have 3 distinct organizations. There's Mended Little Hearts, which are newborns. Okay, there's Young Mended Hearts.
Can you use the mic a little more?
I'm sorry, can you not hear me?
That's better,
I'm
thank you.
sorry. Oh, I forgot to put the pin on, didn't I? I'm sorry. So today they have 3 organizations. There's Mended Little Hearts, which are infants. There's Young Mended Hearts, which are adolescents. And there's Mended Hearts, which are old farts like me. Okay? And those 3 organizations service every group of individuals, ethnicities. There's no, it's whoever is a heart patient, whatever the heart procedure, whatever the heart illness is, okay, we deal with it. We have a worldwide renowned visitors program. We train visitors to become what we call accredited visitors, to be able to go into the hospital and sit down with patients and sit down with families and caregivers and talk to them about what they're going through. Because we've all been through it. The only person that becomes a accredited visitor is either a cardiac survivor or a caregiver. Okay? And we can sit and talk with the patients and their families and the caregivers and talk to them about what's happening with them. Because we've had the same feelings, we've had the same concerns. We are not medically trained, and we let people know that right away. We're not doctors, we're not nurses, we're not technical in any aspect, okay? But from a psychological and emotional standpoint, okay, we've been there, we've done that, and we can empathize with them. We have online training seminars, we have online webinars, okay, that are led by some of the most progressive medical and professional manufacturing individuals in the States. Okay, we offer that to all of our members, but you don't have to be a member to take advantage of Mended Hearts. Okay, you can participate in any of the programs that we have and not be a member. We have online training in addition to the seminars. Okay, and we offer patient and caregiver resources to foster support, education, and advocacy. So when we go into the hospital, one of the things we do is we leave literature, like the literature that was left for me. And I'll go through that. I have samples of the literature up there for your taking if you like, and the things that we leave. But that's over there on that table. Okay. In 2022, I had another major cardiac event. This time I was rushed to Cape Cod Hospital. They stabilized me there. They hit me 6 times with the paddles. And I was airlifted from Cape Cod up to Mass General, where I spent about 6 weeks, okay, and several procedures. When I returned, I went through my rehab again, okay, so we have actually a rehab facility in Hyannis, and we have a rehab facility in Falmouth. I've been to both, and they're both fabulous, okay? And I know everybody in both rehab, and they're just unbelievable people, okay, so dedicated. COVID, so obviously in 22 it was towards the end of COVID, right? So from March of 20 through March of literally 23, COVID decimated everything and everybody, okay? Our chapter was decimated, all right? We had very little contact with the chapter members. We couldn't get into the hospital to see patients. We couldn't communicate. Some of the leadership wasn't technically what's the word I want? They weren't adept at technical capabilities, okay? So the chapter kind of fell apart, and it happened all through Mended Hearts, okay? We lost a lot of chapters because of COVID. When I came back from Boston, okay, I made a commitment to myself to get more involved and to take a more active role in Mended Hearts, and so I did. And today we currently have over 60 members and participants on the Cape and elsewhere, because over the last year and a half or 2 years, okay, obviously summertime there's a lot of visitors that come down here, and they're not I have trouble with words sometimes, and I apologize. They're not immune to having cardiac events. So we meet them in the hospital. They go home to Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, wherever it's from, okay, Pennsylvania, and we stay in touch with them, and they stay in touch with us, okay. So we have members that are all over the country at this point in time. We've been we're lucky enough to have 8 accredited volunteers who are survivors and who have been certified by both Mended Hearts and Cape Cod Hospital, okay? And we're able to visit patients, I should say, and who are literally on call 24/7. Our sole purpose is to bring hope and inspiration to the patients that we visit. Many of the people we see are there for the first time, and they have no idea what the future holds for them. They don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. They don't know what they're going to be able to do, what they're going to be able to eat, what they're going to be able to participate in. They have no idea, and they're scared out of their minds. Okay? And it's our role to walk in and talk to them about there's a future. There's life after a cardiac event. We let them know that we're cardiac survivors, okay, that we've been in these beds as well, and we know the anger and the fear that comes along with their situation. Once they engage in conversation, and once we've told them that we're survivors, okay, you can literally see the change in their posture and their demeanor, okay, because all of a sudden they're talking to someone who's been there, okay, and I gotta relate this, I always relate this to, you know what, it's like Alcoholics Anonymous, okay, it's only somebody that's been there can truly appreciate and understand what you're going through to be there. And that's what heart disease is about as well. Okay? We share educational materials, we share compression pills, which are similar to our centerpieces, by the way, except they don't have arms. Okay? We share emergency information packets, invitations to our monthly support meetings, okay, and we have brochures that talk about our chapter here on the Cape. Our monthly meetings are done on the 3rd Thursday of every month. We bring in a guest speaker every other month. That guest speaker is either a nurse, or a doctor, or a cardiac technician, a nutritionist, exercise physiologist, okay? It's everything to do with cardiac health. Okay? The months that we don't have a guest speaker, it's all about us. I like to call it misery loves company, because we're all in there saying, geez, what happened to you? Well, this happened to me, and this is how I did, and this is what and that's exactly what we do, okay? And for anybody that's coming in new, okay, that's there for the first time in a meeting, you just gotta watch them and say, oh my God, I felt the exact same thing. I've been through that. I had no idea. I thought I was the only one that experienced this, and you're not, okay? Everybody who has any kind of procedure or any kind of event, I will guarantee you that of the 50 or 60 people that we have on Cape Cod that are members and participants, okay, I can match up with somebody. I thought I was special. I dropped dead. I'm a big kahuna. I've been to the other side and back. There's 4 people in the Cape chapter that have dropped dead and come back, okay? It's like, what's up with that, right? But it's true. So everybody, I mean, everything that you can imagine, okay? And if we don't have it in our chapter, okay, like Carolyn was telling you, all right, Mended Hearts has an unbelievable network of survivors. And in the case of the aortic aneurysm, okay, you know, I reached out to the national organization. One email said, you need to find me somebody who's got an aortic aneurysm. It's a descending aneurysm, okay, and I need to then have them talk to somebody. Okay, same thing happened, we had somebody with an aortic dissection, which is literally a tearing in your aorta, okay? Which is, by the way, more prevalent in females than it is in males. And it can be fatal. And we've got 2 women in our organization that have had that, okay? And the first one that joined, I had no experience with it. By the way, everybody remembers John Ritter? He had an aortic dissection, okay? And so the Ritter Foundation, we do a lot of work with the Ritter Foundation. I reached out, I called, they had somebody call me right back, put them in touch, okay? It's just a tremendous network of help, of people that we can talk with, and we can understand what to expect and what we're gonna go through, okay? And it's such a help. I know for me, when I was up at Mass General, okay, I wish I had had somebody that I could talk to, because I was going through some procedures that I had never experienced, and I had no idea what to expect. Although I will tell you that the nursing staff up there was amazing, okay? The director of nursing at Mass General that became a good friend, just a quick side, my daughter always says, my dad was in a coma for 10 days. He's the only guy I know that comes out of a coma with a new best friend. Okay? And so that just, you know, I mean, it is what it is, okay? But they're just fabulous, okay? And they talk English. They don't talk medical, they talk English, okay? And that's really what you're looking for, all right? Is someone that you can talk with and understand what's going on, okay? Our chapter 315 in Hyannis was actually started in 2003. Again, it was started by 4 cardiac survivors and their spouses. Okay. We have a phenomenal relationship with Cape Cod Hospital. We work with them every week. We go into the hospital every Tuesday and every Thursday. We have the 8 accredited visitors. We have a visiting schedule that we go in. We go in for anywhere between 2 and probably 3 hours, okay, and visit. Our normal visit lasts anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes, okay, and it's a knock on the door. Do you mind if we come in and visit? Introduction. First thing we say is, we're cardiac survivors, okay? Because the minute we walk in, the first thing someone wants to know is, what are you selling? Are you religious? Are you gonna, you gonna pray with me? Whatever? Nope. It has nothing to do with that. We're selling hope and inspiration. That's what we're selling, okay? Because you look at what we've been through, and we're walking in here and sitting down and talking with you, okay? This is where you could be, okay? And so we sit down, we talk to them, we ask them if they mind sharing what's going on with them, okay? We talk through whether it's AFib or whether it's a stent or whether it's open heart surgery, whatever it is, okay? Our visitors have had it all. I haven't had it all. But when I go in, and because I go in and I visit with a number of different visitors, I listen to what they've been through, and I can relate that to people that I meet, okay? And we try to make it as understandable and as easy and as calming as you can with the patient. Because again, they're scared out of their mind. They don't know if they're going to live through this operation, okay? They don't know what their life's going to be like. And that's really why we're there, okay? The monthly meetings that we have are extremely educational, okay? usually we've had Dr. Masur, who's the head of cardiac surgery at Cape Cod Hospital. We've had Dr. Theophania Amelia, who's a electrophysiologist from Mass General. If you don't know what an electrophysiologist does, so there's two parts to your heart. There's the mechanical pumping section, and there's an electrical section. And that electrical section is a real pain in the neck sometimes, okay? If your electrical function isn't working, there's an electrophysiologist to help you, okay? And that's what a cardio defibrillator is for, is that electrical section, okay? We've had Dr. Timo, who's the head of cardiac imaging at Cape Cod Hospital. We've had the nursing stroke team from Falmouth and Cape Cod Hospital do presentations. We actually have a heart failure clinic on Cape Cod, headed by Shannon List, who's a nurse practitioner, and she is spectacular, okay? And she's come and done presentations for us. So it's really educational, it's really informative. Our meetings are a hybrid meeting. We have as many people that join us via Zoom as are actually present in the room. So we call them the roomies and the zoomies. And we have conversation back and forth between the Zoom contingency and the room contingency. We have people that are on the Cape that, you know, I mean, let's be honest, okay? It's winter time, it's dark early, it's miserable driving. People don't want to drive, even if it's from Brewster up to Hyannis, okay? It's a hike. So they'd rather sit at home in the comfort of their house, and they tune in and join us via Zoom. I send the invitations out twice a month to join the meetings. We actually have one coming up this week. And this week is just all about us, okay? But it's cathartic. It's cathartic to be able to talk about it, to be able to listen to people that have had the same thing that you have, okay? I'm really here for three reasons today. One is to make sure that you understand that heart disease is the #1 killer in this country. Number two is for you to know that Mended Hearts is on the Cape. We are literally the best kept secret on Cape Cod, okay? And we don't want to be. I've done newspaper articles, I've done interviews, I've done a bunch, not just me, I shouldn't say I, okay? We have, okay, done a lot of things to try to increase our, I call it brand recognition, okay? That people know that we're here for them, we're on the Cape. We've got a big push campaign going on right now, where we have brochures now in all the cardiologist offices. We're gonna put big posters up in the waiting rooms, so people know that we're here, okay? And the last reason is, one of the new and exciting things that's happening in 2025 is we're starting a visiting program in Falmouth. And truth be told, I'm looking for people to join the organization to do some visiting in Falmouth, okay? I live in Mashpee, obviously. I've got another one of our visitors lives in Sandwich, so the two of us are gonna be handling Falmouth until we figure out exactly what to do. But I gotta be honest with you, okay? It's great to bring new people into the organization, to be able to share, okay? We've got 4 female visitors, we've got 4 male visitors, okay? And the ability to go in as a pair, male and female, is fabulous, okay? Because there's a lot of time we run into females, and there's a lot of questions that I can't answer, okay? And so it just makes such a great visiting experience for both the caregiver and for the patient, as well as for us when we have a mixed team going in, okay? So I would love and encourage anybody who would have the least little bit of interest, if you wanted to find out a little bit more about the program, I'd be willing to sit here all afternoon and talk to you about it, okay? I'm very passionate about it. I love what I do. I love the interaction with the patients. I love the interaction with the rest of the members, okay? And if your husband, okay, or spouse, okay, have had an event or procedure, and you think that they either would do well by visiting one of our meetings and listening to one of our guest speakers, okay, or possibly joining the organization and becoming a visitor, I would absolutely love to talk to you about that as well. We do have a local website. It's called www.capecodmendedhearts.com, okay? And there's information out there, although I will tell you, it really needs to be updated. I'm behind on that, okay? That's on the agenda for the next few weeks to get that updated, but there's a lot of information out there. MendedHearts.org, which is the national headquarters website, okay, is a phenomenal resource for people, okay? What I brought today is a few things that we use at the hospital. We have these printed up, okay? So these are what we call the heart guide. These are a phenomenal reference. It'll tell you more about your heart than you'll ever want to know, okay? But it's a phenomenal reference for somebody that's got heart disease, okay? These are printed brochures that talk about our chapter and talk about the monthly meetings that we have. On the back side of it are 6 or 7 of the accredited visitors, our names, our emails, and our phone numbers. We are literally available 24/7, okay? And Kath will tell you that we've gotten several phone calls at all times of the day, okay, from people all over the country. The other thing that we have and we give out is these. And I don't know if I brought enough. I brought 50 of the large and 50 of the Waller pocketbook size, okay? These are so important. EMTs on Cape Cod are trained to look for these when they walk into a house. So if you're down and out, or if your spouse is down and out and you're not home, or even if you are home, okay? These are everything that an EMT needs to know. It's your doctors, your medical condition, and most importantly, your prescriptions and the dosages. So I know when I was down and out, and the EMTs asked Kathy what medications she was taking, I was taking, okay? She had no idea what they were. But she went in and she got my box of medications, and she brought it out and she said, these are what he takes, okay? I also have a medical card that I carry, very similar to the small ones here, okay? That's in my wallet, and it's right in front of my wallet, right in front of my license. It says GNF emergency information, and it's got all my prescriptions and dosages, okay? These are magnetized. Doesn't look like your grandchildren's drawings at all, okay? But they are so very important. EMTs are trained to go right to the refrigerator to look for these, okay? And they don't have to ask you anything once they have one of these in the hand. I tell everybody, date it at the top so the EMT knows the last time this was updated, okay? And every time a medication changes, change the card. So put the medications and dosages in pencil. So you don't have to scratch it out and redo it, okay? These are lessons learned, okay? But these are so very, very important for the EMTs and for you, okay? I know I'm probably not the best presenter in the world, and I apologize. Oh, my business cards are here as well, okay? And I apologize for that, but if there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions any of you have about the organization, what we do, how we do it, who's involved, anything of that nature. Well, maybe I am the best presenter. There's got to be some questions out there. Yes?
I have a question.
I got to come down.
When you dropped dead, did you have a spiritual experience?
So Connie wants to know when I dropped dead, did I have a spiritual experience? The answer to that is no. Okay? However, what I tell people is, I heard two people talking, and they say, really? And I said, yeah. And they said, what do they say? And I said, one of them said, I don't want him, you take him. The other one said, I don't want him either, you take him. And they said, hell with it, send him back. That's what I said.
Mine was a cardiac though.
Yeah.
I had an allergic reaction when I was 21, and my friend dragged me into an emergency room. I was dead on the floor, and they did one of those things with John Travolta, you know, with the epinephrine in your heart
Yep.
to revive me. And I can tell you this, I was up above me. Looking at myself, getting hit with the thing, and I had horrible remorse that I hadn't done anything with my life, and here I was gonna die. I was 21.
Yeah. So I had an out-of-body experience as well, but I didn't have the bright light and the
I had
gates
the
and all
light.
that kind of stuff.
I just
Okay?
had a sorrow.
Yeah, I had an out-of-body experience. I saw Kathy, okay, and I was in, believe it or not, what appeared to be a maintenance room on a structure, which I thought was the morgue, okay? So I thought I was dead. And there was a cleaning lady in there, and I was trying to get her attention to tell my wife that I'm still alive, that I'm not dead, okay? And it was frightful,
That sounds.
because nobody could hear me,
Yeah.
okay? But yeah, I did have that, okay? But everybody asked me, did you see the bright lights when you died and all that? I said, no, which doesn't bode well for me, I guess. So, I know it's real. So, if you want to know what I know about broken heart syndrome, okay? I know it's real, okay? I know it's very real, but I don't know technically, okay, what it is, okay, or how it happens. But you know, I mean, it's there. It's definitely there. Okay. Yes.
Kathy, did you have CPR training?
I have, yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
You knew that. And then during that time, while you say you were dead, and as well as when you were in your coma, could you hear people talking around you?
No. I shouldn't say that. So I believe that the subconscious, okay, protects you. I don't remember anything. Now, I will tell you that the second time, okay, in March of 22, the ambulance came. I was standing in the garage talking to them. Kathy got very upset at me, okay? And she got very upset at the EMTs, okay? Because they weren't putting me in the ambulance, all right? And I was told that I talked to them all the way to the hospital. I was also told that while I was in the emergency room and the doctors were working on me, they told Kathy, your husband is absolutely hysterical. Because I told the doctors, this was March 8th, okay? I said, you can't let me die. Tomorrow is my anniversary, and I haven't bought my wife a present. And I don't remember any of it. I remember absolutely nothing, okay? So I may have, Carla, okay? But I don't remember hearing anything, okay? So I think I truly think it's my subconscious, okay? Because the same thing happened the first time when I got in the ambulance, because, I'm sorry, no, the second time when I got in the ambulance, because I was wide awake. I know I was wide awake, I was fine. I laid down and from the time I laid down till I woke up in Mass General, how many days later? 4 days later, okay? I don't remember a thing. Yeah, so, yes. I'm sorry.
Me first? I know you said, I mean, genetics is obviously the biggest determinant of our health. And I know you said heart disease runs in your family, but have you also made some lifestyle changes, and what are the most significant ones that you've made?
So, yes and no. Okay, so I have made some lifestyle changes, okay? I certainly don't eat salad every day, okay? Dr. Thompson, who did this interview, used to be my cardiologist, okay? She's moved her office down to Chatham now, so I changed cardiologist, okay? But Dr. Thompson believes strongly in plant-based diet. I used to tell her that I have a plant-based diet, but it's eggplant with Parmesan, with mozzarella cheese and tomato sauce. She didn't buy off on that, okay? That was not her idea of a plant-based diet, okay? Certainly, and Ian Sarno, who does the interview with her, okay, actually is a vegan, okay, and she made the changes. She was prior to this was a pescatarian, okay, the change to vegan really wasn't that big a step for her, okay. I try to watch what I eat. I'm 76 years old, and I just can't give everything up, okay? I love food. I love to cook, and I love a good glass of wine, okay? And that may be, that may be my doing in, I'm not sure, okay? But it's just something that I really feel strongly about at this age, okay? You gotta enjoy life. You really, okay? What's this, I mean, why did I live if I can't enjoy it, right? Okay? And so, that's what I believe, okay? So I try to exercise, which I haven't been good at in the wintertime because the cold is awful on me, okay? Just absolutely kills me because of the medication I'm on. But I try to cut fried foods out, but I have a treat now and then, okay? And, I try to, I used to have a bowl of ice cream like this, okay? And now I have a cup of ice cream like this, okay? Thank you, Kath. And I just try to do everything within reason, okay? If you give something up, you think about that for the rest of for all the time, okay? I can't have ice cream. I can't have ice cream. I want ice cream. I want it. It'll drive you crazy, right? Okay. So you have a little bit, okay? Just in moderation. Just do things in moderation, okay? That's all. Yes.
So what do you think, like people pre-having a heart condition, like what are the best things to do preventatively, like as far as health, like visiting doctors? I know my doctor had to do the Birmingham Heart Study 2 years ago.
Yep.
And I don't know if that's part of people's routines or just what recommendations you make for people for their regular health care check.
So I think, I mean, because women present so differently, okay, I will tell you, listen to your bodies, okay? That's, I mean, and truth be told, okay, when something happens, from that day on, you listen to your body more than you'll ever want to, okay? But listen to your body. If you feel different, do something about it. Don't sit there and wait, okay? Kathy's gonna jump in, and she's gonna hit me in a minute. Because I tell everybody, the minute you feel something, okay, you don't know if actually something's going on or not. 99.9% of the time, it's probably nothing. But that 1/100th of a time, you're gonna be dead. And is it worth that risk? So call 911. That's what they're there for. Yeah, it's embarrassing. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass because you're gonna go to the hospital and you're gonna be there for half a day or a day like me. When I go, okay, I'm there for a couple of days because my history doesn't look really good about it, right? So they wanna make sure everything is okay. And it's a pain in the neck, and I hate to do it, okay? Kathy says, every time something happens, everybody you talk to, you tell them to call 911. Get your ass out of bed and go call 911, okay? And so I do, because I do everything she tells me to do. Yeah, I would tell you, really listen to your body, okay? I would tell you exercise, walk, okay? Walk, that's all you have to do, is go for a walk, okay? Walk around the couch in the house, okay? Do little things like that, okay? Just be aware of what you're putting in your mouth, okay? From a food standpoint, but don't give up everything that you enjoy, okay? You gotta live your life, but be aware, okay? And the links that I sent to Carolyn? Okay. If you get,
I'll send it to Meg and she'll send it.
Okay.
So everyone will.
okay. Listen to Dr. Thompson's radio interview. Dr. Thompson's fabulous. I love Dr. Thompson. Okay, she's great. Okay. She's got a lot of great ideas. She's very aggressive. Okay, but she's really hung up on this plant-based diet thing, right? Which I just okay. But the other, there are websites that are specifically designed to help you. Go spend some time. Okay, I'm not saying that you have to drive yourselves crazy doing it. Okay, but spend some time, educate yourself. Anybody remember Sim's clothing store?
Yeah.
Right? Do you remember what his slogan used to be?
Educated consumers, best customers.
Right, that's it. Really the exact same thing. Excellent. My best customer is an educated customer, okay? And that's what we preach, okay? Educate yourself. In this day and age of available information, shame on us for not knowing, okay, what's going on. Shame on us for not telling our children, okay, that they need to be aware, okay? Because it happens like that. Stroke. Yep, that's for stroke, right? Okay. Yeah, it's that's just what is it? Face, arms, speech, and time. Right. Yep. Yep. And it's time. Time is definitely of the essence with a heart attack. Okay. And I to be honest with you, I'm a perfect example of that. I had a heart attack in 2001. I was at my daughter's softball game. I had a blood clot in my heart, and it felt like someone had taken a barbecue skewer and put it through one side of my and came right through the other side. Okay? It hurt like a mother. All right. I was in pain for what, 3 hours? How long? So my heart attack. I forget.
You were at the softball game.
I understand that. Okay, but I wasn't brought to Marion Hospital
They
for like 3 hours.
Wasn't it Strada Hospital?
No, it was Attleboro. They brought me to Attleboro, but they didn't have a cardiac unit there, okay? Yeah. And they had a cardiac unit down in Marion, okay? So it was like, I was like in stress for like 3 hours, okay? I lost 40% of my heart. So my left ventricle doesn't pump anywhere near where it should, okay? My ejection fraction, does everybody know what ejection fraction is? No? Okay. You won't find out until you have a heart attack, okay? Okay? So, ejection fraction is the amount of blood that is pumped out of your heart every time your heart beats. The average for a normal human being is somewhere around 60%, okay? Maybe up to 70%. Mine's 30%, okay? So, and oftentimes, I don't get enough oxygenated blood pumped through my system, okay? Which is a problem, okay? When I was in the helicopter going up to Boston, I think my EF was 8%, okay? So I wasn't getting any oxygen to the brain, all right? Which explains a lot of things if you really know it, okay? But it's a great excuse, okay? That, it's like, I can't control myself. Yeah, it's lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. What's the question? Do you remember?
I'm talking about the fraction and the percentage.
8%.
Yeah, no, I know. No, I got that. I was going somewhere with that. I don't remember where I'm going. So anyways.
Well, we've all been there.
Oh, I know. You were talking about time. You were talking about time, okay? So the longer the time, the more muscle that gets damaged. If the blood isn't pumping properly, okay, the more of your heart muscle is going to get damaged. So that's why it's important to get to the hospital as quickly as possible. And never have your spouse drive you. Never have your spouse drive you. Because number one, if you go in an ambulance, you get right in and you go right into the back, okay? If you have your spouse driving, you gotta walk in, talk to them and tell them, I got some chest pains or whatever it is, and then they start to scurry around, okay? Never, ever, ever, never, ever, ever drive yourself to the hospital, okay? Because number one, you could kill somebody else. Number two, you could kill yourself, okay? So keep that in mind, all right?
Thank you so
Am I over? Do we have any other questions? Yeah.
Is taking an aspirin help the situation?
Which situation? So aspirin opens up your veins, okay, and will help the blood flow. So it really depends on what the cause of the heart attack is, okay? If it's a blood clot, okay, sometimes that might help. I'm not a medical professional, so I'm not sure. Terry might be able to answer that question better, okay? Terry,
Yes,
does taking aspirin,
it's still recommended.
it's still recommended,
Still recommended.
okay? And I guess it helps to,
In the middle of a heart attack?
yeah, you can take, yeah.
Yeah, you should take one once you're having chest pain, you think you're having a heart attack. American Heart Association still recommends you chew the
Aspirin.
chew the acid.
Yep.
And
So-
actually, once you arrive
Okay.
in the emergency room, that's one of the first questions they're gonna ask you. Have you taken an aspirin?
Okay, now I'll tell you exactly what she said. She said the American Heart Association still recommends, okay, if you're having chest pain, grab an aspirin, chew it, and swallow it, okay? That will open up your blood vessels, okay? The first question they're gonna ask you when you get to the hospital is, have you taken an aspirin? Okay, that's the first question. So the answer to your question is yes, it does, okay? So if you have chest pains, if you think you're having a heart attack, you should absolutely take an aspirin, okay? I take an aspirin every day along with 26 other medications, okay? So my aspirin kind of gets lost in the crowd, okay? But yeah, absolutely, okay? Other questions? I can't thank you enough. The merchandise up there, okay, if it suits you, grab it, share it, okay, and if anybody would like to talk about, potentially doing something with us, I would love to have that conversation.
Thank you, George. How fabulous is that presentation? And it could save our lives.